Okay. Looks like we're on.
Yeah.
Good. So, welcome.
Hi.
Happy Friday. For those of you who watch us for the first time, my name is Noah, and this is Ruti. Ruti and I are working, exploring, learning, sharing what really is for quite a while. Ruti longer than me. And our intention is to explore and to inquire and to go through topics in these lives when we're trying to learn the difference and move through the dimension of thoughts, what we got, the way we got used to look at things, the way we got used to see ourselves and others and the world, and the interaction between all of these. And what does it look like, or more, what does it feel like to live from the dimension that is not made of thoughts, that we cannot explain, we cannot understand in our heads, maybe even not exactly in our senses, but it is what we are, and it is what really is. And now it's better to keep quiet and not to say what it is, because this is exactly not something we can put in words. So it's a bit like somebody told me, it sounds really abstract, but I know what you mean. And I think I couldn't put it better. So from this tension, we want to explore. And today we're exploring the topic of cynicism. Ruti, maybe you can say a little bit why you felt like talking about this today. On Tuesdays, we decide what we're going to talk about on Fridays. And this time, Ruti said, I want to talk about cynicism. So can you say a little bit what made it come up?
Yeah. I feel and I see and I recognize that cynicism comes up whenever there is fear. Whenever we're afraid, and instead of really allowing ourselves to feel the fear and to really look at it and ask ourselves where is it coming from? What is it connected to? Instead of that, we try to brush it away. We try to be in a way, to act in a way that makes me look as if I'm in control, when actually I'm not at all in control. And I can also never be in control. So it's actually really seeing ourselves, or letting others see ourselves in a way that is actually a lie. It's not the way that it really is. We're trying to do that, first of all, inwards. We're trying to do that to become cynical or sarcastic, because we want to not seem vulnerable, not seem close enough to be hit with words or any other kind of forceful action. So we look as if we're above things, as if this is happening, but it's not really happening to me. It is happening, but it's not happening in a way that makes a difference for me or, impacts me in any way. In fact, it's just, the way that it is now, but it's nothing to do with me. When actually what's going on inside me is exactly the opposite. And coming back to your question, what made me do that. So I think two major things that I've encountered in my life lately. One of them is conspiracy theories. We had a webinar about that, and I really explored this head and toes. I really asked people to let me see, know, experience the conspiracy theories that are now, voiced and believed in by many people. And I really let them influence me. Like I didn't come to analyze them or judge them. I came to really see, first of all, what they're showing, but even more than that, what do they do to me? And I found that the anger and hatred that accompany them in many times, because the knowledge that they bring are in many cases knowledge that we want to at least question and maybe follow. But when it is accompanied by a closed heart, cynicism and sarcasm and hate, then it becomes dangerous, but even more troubling or more painful than that. It becomes numbing and alienating, because instead of coming closer and really feeling, we draw away, we retract, and then we're not really there. So that pain and that it's a feeling of really missing out on life when we do that, when we draw away, when we pull away. That was one thing. And the other thing is a kind of a work that we do now with young people, for me young, that are in their 30s, most of them. And it doesn't happen to me a lot that I speak and I really don't know what's happening in the other person. It's like I usually I feel not because I have a good eye but because I'm really intimate with anyone I speak to or speak with or I hear. And that way I can really know what's happening with him or with her and with us. And this time it was more difficult. It was very, surprising for me that I was not sure what really is going on. And
I'll just give the context. We had a webinar, and on the second session, we invited people to coach. Ruti gave a little introduction about what we're going to explore today, and then she invited someone to coach and then we can explore the knowledge through an example, through something that is really in life. And nobody stepped forward, step up forward, and it was surprising to us. And there was a minute, maybe a long minute of silence, because we didn't encourage or we didn't seduce or of course didn't push anyone to do something they're not voluntarily want to do. And this silence was quite intense to see. For me it was like there's a certain layer, and by not stepping out, it was like they told us, till here, okay, it can come from a shyness, but it can also come from a place of This is my space. This is your space. I can listen to you, but I'm not gonna do the effort. Like,
yeah. For me, it was even more, you know, paid attention more to the part where I didn't get a reaction, not only for the coaching. It was like I was speaking and my words were just, I didn't know what happened with them. Were they, you know, were they there in people and they were just dwelling with that? Were they resisting them? Were they, it was hard for me to know. And as I said, it was surprising because it was like I was asking myself, are they letting themselves be engaged? Are they coming? And I can't tell. I'm not saying that they're not.
yeah, maybe.
I
Yeah.
couldn't say. But what I could say, what I could see is what you said now, that maybe there is this, it's like a screen put up. It's like a dividing space that says, don't come any closer.
Yeah.
Or not even to us, especially to the world, don't come any closer. I am going to be in control here. I must be. That's how a responsible person acts. And I need to control what, where, and how much.
Okay, but there's a difference between, because we all know the feeling of putting a wall. We all know the feeling of being a bit suspicious before we come closer. But cynicism is one way to do it. It has a certain color that is very different from shyness, for example.
Yeah.
They have the same effect. And there's something about cynicism that, unlike shyness, when you feel vulnerable, with cynicism, I feel in control. I feel powerful. I feel even superior.
Yeah.
I'm hard to get. I'm usually funny.
Funny or sharp?
Sharp. I have something to say. And I ask myself, I know the feeling of being a bit like that. It has, it touches, I'm saying this gently, but from my experience, it touches the layer of abusing. It's like, I know I can hurt. I know I can make someone to shut up, like to silence them just by saying something to make them feel small. And I love myself and I hate myself when I do that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit addictive. It's like sometimes I can feel like I'm trapped in this character because it gives me power, but it makes like a at the same time.
Yeah. Actually, when you say it gives you power or it gives me power, there's a question there, because it gives me power because it seems as if I'm in control of the situation. And actually, the way that I am in control is that I establish the rules of the game. Okay, I say what counts and what doesn't. I say what's ridiculous and what is not or worthwhile. I establish the rules. But the reason I need to control, the reason I need to establish the rules is because I'm afraid of what would happen to me if I don't. It's a must game. It's
Yeah.
not that I'm trying to create even a game that would enable people to experience themselves in different ways, to be with each other in different ways. It's not that. It's not coming from the abundance. It's coming from the missing. It's coming from danger, a feeling of danger.
It's like
And
a risk I have to take, you know, because if I won't establish the rules, somebody else will establish the rules, and then I'm in danger. So it's, you know, you're doing like,
compelled to do that. And
hmm?
since I'm compelled to do that, I have to do that, I
Yeah.
must, then that's the way it goes. But I'm paying a small price. My mind is telling me that I'm paying a small price, considering the price I would have to pay if I really come as I am without trying to control anything, really encountering whoever and whatever is there, and then from there seeing what comes up. That for the mind, that for people who are cynical and use sarcasm a lot, this is so dangerous that it is not even considered to be a possibility. I must be, that's the addictive part. And then it's not only the power that is addictive, the illusionary power, okay, but it's also the fear of the alternative
Yeah.
that makes me addictive to that, because it's the less terrible solution. Okay, and then when I go there, I actually have to abuse other people because I have to make them obey the rules. Because if they don't, or if they introduce a different or a new game, then I might find myself in a bad position, very vulnerable, and the worst thing will happen. So it's a fight for life and death.
Yeah. And then I have another possibility, which is to organize my life in a way that will be always like, I will establish the field, like the game, the territory. I will keep what is unwelcomed out. I will get closer what I feel comfortable with, what is fitting, like in sync with my agendas, with my opinions, with my style. I will surround myself with people that love me, although I'm cynical. And I'll just, you know, I'll make my own little world where my cynicism is accepted.
Yeah,
When I'm accepted as I am. And by saying that, I'm also saying, okay, so this is who I am. I had my experiences. Life was cruel to me. I developed this cynicism as a defense mechanism.
wait. You need to say this with more compassion,
I'm not saying this. I sound critical.
a bit.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, what I'm asking you to do is, it really comes out of
Hey.
distress and
Yeah.
and pain.
Yeah.
So it comes from there, but it's the solution. It's a kind of a solution the mind can give, because the mind, the interpreting mind, is concerned with keeping us from pain and fear and death, which actually does the exact opposite. It creates pain in many dimensions and it cannot avoid death. Uh, it becomes like a swamp. It becomes more deeper and more, more condensed, more sticky, and then it becomes more demanding, and then I become its slave. That's the dynamics of the world of fear.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what I'm saying is that people who developed cynicism because of, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound criticizing. It's what we developed this because we are hurt, or
Right.
because we had experiences and then we draw conclusions about life and about ourselves and about other people. And those conclusions made what you're saying. So I need to protect myself. And now I reached the age of 30 or 40. And, you know, this is who I am. I developed this mechanism. It's a part of,
Yeah.
you know, I do this. And again, I breathe deeply when I do this. But I say it's a kind of saying, okay, I accept myself with the traumas, with the mechanism, with the strategies I developed. And now, oh, I live with it. And I live with my cynicism.
Yeah.
And if somebody doesn't like me or get hurt by me or by my humor or they don't get me, then they can keep out.
Okay. That calls for more cynicism, because the person who says this did see that the other person was hurting or
Yeah.
is hurting.
Yeah.
He
And they
is
don't
seeing
want to
that.
hurt. They don't want to hurt. So they say, so keep distance. I'm
No.
biting, you know, I'm an animal and I bite.
Okay, but I mean, what I mean to say is that for a person to say that, he needs to implement cynicism towards himself also. Okay, he needs to push down and push away his genuine feelings for the other person. He needs to create reasons and justifications for himself or herself to continue inflicting pain and to continue to inflict alienation and denial and reluctance to really encounter a person. So it's a tremendous amount of work doing that. You described that before when you said, then I need to do that, and then I need to do that. And it's on a continuous basis. It's not something that you do once. You need to again and again analyze the situation and then find what, do everything that you said before. That is something that is done only if I have this basic belief. It's a mistaken belief, but only if I really identify with the thought saying, I cannot, it is too much. Life is too much. And if I let it be as it is, it will crush me, it will destroy me, it will cause such tremendous pain that I won't be able to be with it. I won't be able to carry on with it. And that is why I need to rush to an alternative, may it painful or energy sucking as it is. But
Yeah.
I have to do that. It's like saving myself.
Yeah, it's the only option to survive.
That
That's what the thought says. I'm asking you from your experience as a coach and as a person, and but I'm also saying sorry, neither you or me, from because I know us personally, had the experience in childhood, or usually it's in childhood, I'd say, of being seriously rejected, seriously hurt. Um, you know, in many, many varieties of ways that people develop the cynicism because of those scenarios. So, can you see a possibility that the effort of opening up is actually really harder, I would even say impossible, that it's better to maintain the closed one, like the closed strategy, the cynicism. Can you find or maybe do you have an example of someone that you see that, you know, this is as good as they can, I mean, and they will have to find their happiness and their peace without opening up? I hope the question is clear.
Mm-hmm.
Because I say for myself, I know that I cannot put myself in the shoes of someone like that, because because I have a different character.
Right. So maybe the first thing to know is that nobody is pushing someone to do that, like pushing in a way that judges, and if that happens, then the other person is as confused as this person. Okay.
Like if I'm trying to pull someone out of their cynicism,
In the sense that you need him or her to come out of their cynicism, or you say, I cannot go on with your cynicism, and then you have to, you know, it's the needs and the desires and the fears.
like I cannot be your friend when you're like this, goodbye.
Not goodbye. If you say goodbye, that's an option. But if you say it's a condition for me to continue to be with you while you are with the person and you are in a relationship, then if it comes out of your fear, it's bad news. If it comes out of love, it's different. So I'll elaborate a bit. So we're not thinking of someone who has the power to make someone do that or to demand them to do that. That's not the case. It's of course it's not the case when we coach or when we work with what really is. But I think that also being a spouse or being a partner, you don't have the right to make someone do something. And you also always need to be, as you are now, with enough humility and attentiveness, real attentiveness, so that you can understand that this is not you are speaking to. It is someone who has a different life experience, who dealt with life differently, who concluded things, you know, differently, who understands life differently and understands him or herself differently. But as I see it, there is nothing worse than being trapped in your mind. That means that I've coached, as you can imagine, I've coached thousands of people. So when I see a person who really had a really, really rough childhood, for example, or he was abandoned or abused or really tough, then you can see the hurt. Even if he or she is not speaking about it, you can see the hurt, and you can also see the conclusions made, the assumptions held during life during time. When people are trapped in these assumptions, they are creating hell for themselves. It's like they are trapped in their fears. They act upon their fears. In the book, What Really Is, you can see chapter 2, speaking about the world of fear. We really went to length there to really see the dynamics of it. It sounds so logical. It sounds so practical.
Yeah. I got hurt, I defend myself.
Yeah. And if I got hurt a lot or very badly, then I need to defend myself strongly.
Yeah.
And to suspect and to not be intimate and to check before and to suspect after I'm in a relationship. So it sounds so logical, but actually what it does is it keeps me away, it keeps me in a distance, it keeps me in my head analyzing with the same basic assumptions, with the same conclusions that brought me here, usually feeling pretty alone. And sometimes, like not belonging or like feeling really just like life is passing by and I'm on the bank of the river, not entering the water. But then when I ask my mind what to do about it, what I hear is that what it says to me is, keep away, let me tell you what to do. And when I say, but what about beauty and love and intimacy and engaging and revealing and discovering, what about all those? The mind says, if you don't want to hurt badly, and then when you come back to me, I won't be able to help you. You'll be going too far. Then I'm again convinced that I need to stay in my cell and not get out of there. So where I've reached in my life, okay? I cannot see anyone who can be really, feeling loved and giving love and even really creating in the sense of from the source, really, not just like holding life or hugging life with both hands, saying, yes, that's what I want. That is who I am. Here I am.
Bring it on.
Yeah, come. But instead, if we don't do that, we're actually, as I see it, we can't be loved, or we don't know that we are loved, which is tragic. No, not less than not being loved.
Yeah.
Not being happy, without joy, without being astonished from whatever is really happening here, really in awe to what that is here. And then we're trapped. So
maybe we can, but it's just something that comes up. Maybe we can, but not by people. Because this defense mode, I'm pretty sure it's 99% aimed towards people and scared of people. But cynical people, as if they are all the same, but I mean like people who have a lot of cynicism and sarcasm operating them can be very much in awe and can get very excited from things that are maybe from nature. Or I mean, I can also feel it with myself. Sometimes I want to that all the people that are not me or like me will burn. Seriously, I say this dead honest. I don't want to curse, but them.
yeah.
They're cruel, they're insensitive, they're stupid, they're evil. I can say so many things. But I feel a lot of love towards animals, towards nature. I'm in awe to the universe and to the wisdom of this fabulous thing. But people, and then I feel my heart like.
Yeah. It's a question. I was once working with an animal farm that was therapeutic. There were horses and bunnies and so on, and children who had difficulties were coming there to, exactly as you said, connect to the love that they feel and to being loved, not through words and not through people, through nature. But then they brought a group who was a group of children who were living in a community that was full of hate and the permission to abuse other people in order to have their way. And they went and they brought these children to the farm, and there was one child there. It was hell to the farm, to the people working there. But there was a child who came. He was given a bunny, and he just did like that and killed the bunny. You know, just like with his head, cracked his skull.
Wow.
In the minute they just put it in his hand, and that's what he did. So I'm saying many times it's much deeper than we think. And also it really depends on how far from your nature you are, you distance yourself, and how much you close your heart to it. Because once you do that, I rarely say during coaching and even in my life, I don't say dangerous so much, because when you come closer and you start moving with the way that it is, new possibilities open. You see so much, and there is so much wisdom and beauty. So they come along, and there is a way whenever we thought, or wherever we thought there's no way. But I do say dangerous. I find myself saying dangerous when that happens. When a person closes his heart and distances himself or herself from his own nature so much that he thinks that it's dangerous to love and it's dangerous to be a human being. He becomes like a ball of fire, or like a ball of hate. And that's how they interact with the world. That's how they see. And anyone who threatens that by loving them becomes their enemy, or becomes the most dangerous thing that can happen to them, because in their eyes, this person who comes out of real love and genuine intimacy, they actually, it is possible that they would make me open my heart again. And that is something that I would do everything in my power not to do, not to let happen. Okay, I just have to make sure that this does not happen. So if I need to kill them, I will kill them. If
So
I need to
everything that is gentle,
yeah,
and innocent,
because I have it in me and I'm afraid of it. It's not because it's them. It's because
they can provoke this. They can remind me.
Exactly.
And if I will be reminded, I will be vulnerable.
Right, vulnerable, or in their eyes, if I really went, walked great mileage with that fear and that understanding, then everything is black or white. It's like, if it's love, it's death. Okay, I feel that I might die, and that's why when I study, when I look into, when I inquire into the question of violence in any form, wherever it is, real violence comes from that. And that's why cynicism is something that is so, it tempts us to draw away. It allows us, as if it's something logical to do, to, instead of living our true nature as human beings, to create an alternative story and to make that happen.
And also, you're talking, and what I kind of see is that maybe cynicism is our way to be violent without being physically violent. This
Exactly.
is kind of what we're doing.
Right. It's really important because you know that one of the most important, not important, influential ways of abuse is when you tamper with someone's mind. And when you do that, it's the way that you do it is that her or his natural instincts are very alive and they're speaking to them. And you are convincing them that they are wrong.
Can you give an example?
I'll give an example through cynicism.
Yeah.
Because cynicism, when you come with an open heart or very, very present to an encounter, and you say what's on your heart, what's on your mind in a good sense, you share what you see and what you feel or what you desire, and then the other person becomes cynical, what happens is that it's like someone throwing an arrow straight into your heart. Okay, when I sense cynicism, it's like the feeling that I have is that I have to fold myself because of this. I feel so much pain. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's when you really, really come totally innocent, cynicism comes out of nowhere. And I'm 59 years old. I'm not a small child. I've encountered much. And yet, when I come with an open heart and, just really coming to encounter someone and there is cynicism, it sounds really, it does really, it hurts so much. But then when I look at the person acts as if he is close to me, as if he's sure that I won't take it as an offense or something, because he's just telling me the way that it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was joking.
Yeah.
Or trying to take me somewhere, but come on, you know that I didn't mean that. Now, inside, within me, I feel the hurt.
Yeah.
Okay? But outside, it looks as if it's my problem. There's something wrong with me. Why am I taking this way? He didn't mean that. I see this. And he can also ask me if I wish, if I'd like a cappuccino now. And I'm like, what's really happening there? My mind is tampered. It's like, am I reading it wrongly? Or is it really?
I have an example that is not so personal, but I can totally relate to what you're saying. We watched Forrest Gump a few weeks ago, and I love it. And I am so I'm so touched by his innocence and by his what they call him stupid, but it's just because he has no agenda. He's just, for me, he is just so in touch, and he's so guided by some very, very, very basic love and acceptance of things as they are. He's super intuitive. And there's the other character, Jenny, which she's at some point in her life, she becomes like, she has dreams, she wants to be famous, she wants to be an individual, she rebels the system. Everybody saw the movie. And
she had a really tough background.
And she has a really tough background. Also, Forrest has a tough background, but he was always loved, very loved and supported by his mother, and she was abused by her father. And so they kind of represent very different paths of personality and of personal path. And then I talked about it. We were with friends and we said, we watched Forrest Gump. Oh, it's such a beautiful movie. And then he said, yeah, I read an article like criticizing the movie, saying that it is just American brainwash, that if you are obedient and you have no thoughts for yourself and you're not trying to be an individual, then you succeed. You know, you do as you're told. You do this. You go to college, you do sport, you go to the military, then you get to get medals, and you become rich, and you crack the American dream. And if you be like Jenny, that she's an individual and she has her opinions and she rebels and you become a drug addict, you become um, you get AIDS and you suffer and you die. And he said that, and I was like, hmm. I never thought about it like that. Yeah. And it was just like a balloon that I was like, and all the magic was gone, and everything became flat and intellectual, and it's like this or that. Suddenly it's like, yeah. So I wasn't offended, but because it wasn't about me, but I can totally see what you're saying. It's like an arrow into your heart. It was like an arrow into the movie. For me, it was such
or an arrow,
piece.
or an arrow to the innocence that you felt and dwelled in and enjoyed so much by seeing the movie. Because when we see a movie, it reacts in us, it provokes in us, or it raises in us.
Yeah, I see it from my experience. I see it from my point of view.
So the beauty of being in such innocence, and the dance that you create in the world around you when you are that. Because, even with Forrest Gump, the most beautiful thing is that when people who became cynical came to him and spoke to him, he couldn't even relate to the fact that they're cynical. He listened to them as saying what they are saying, and then maybe he did that, or maybe he just went on doing whatever he started because he started it before, not because it was smarter.
Yeah, he
He
didn't
didn't
try to
judge
change
anything.
them. It was just, he's so genuine with Lieutenant Dan, which is very cynical.
Yeah. And what came out of that, Lieutenant Dan, when he encounters that, and that's the beauty of it, because when we encounter cynicism, we are called to do the opposite of what the mind says.
When we
Instead of
encounter innocent.
when we encounter cynicism and
Okay.
sarcasm, we are called to do the exact opposite to what the mind says. The mind says either keep away so it won't hurt you, or gain control over the situation so that you can avoid someone hurting you, and you can also be the one who establishes the rules, the new rules of the game.
So you say when I encounter cynicism in me, not...
No, also on the outside. When someone is cynical with me,
Okay.
what we usually do is become cynical too,
Okay.
use sarcasm, try to outwit him, or to join through this sarcasm.
Yeah.
Right?
Or
The mind says danger, or keep away. But actually, what we're supposed to do is exactly what Forrest Gump does. What we're bound to do if we listen to our nature and just, not pretend and not argue and not defend and nothing, is just come closer and closer and closer, and either listen to or come from the true innocence of what you are. When cynicism or sarcasm encounter innocence of the heart, they cannot make way. They will, the innocence will prevail. They will cease to exist. they will melt into love, because that's the true nature of things. That's what happens to Lieutenant Dan. You cannot, it's so beautiful that you cannot not, or you can, but usually it's really difficult.
If you stay close, eventually you will
Be inflicted
yeah.
by innocence. It's
And
like contagious.
at the end, oh, not exactly at the end, but when Jenny comes back to live with Forrest for a while, then he asks her to marry her, if she will marry him. And she says, "You don't want to marry me, Forrest." And he says, "Why don't you love me, Jenny?" And she doesn't answer. And there's like a short pause, and then he says, "I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is." And he walks away to the balcony, and she goes up to bed. And makes me think that maybe it's really hard to be smart and loving, like to be smart and love, not even loving, but to be love. Mm-hmm. And to be smart. It's like there's something in us that thinks that we need to choose, because cynicism is a celebration of the intellect. Cynical people are very proud of being smart and sharp. Mm-hmm. And when he says that, it's like, maybe there's not really an inner choice we need to make, but maybe a little. Do I want to be love, or do I want to be smart?
I think that I would say it a bit differently. I would say that being smart is quite different when I come out of love, or when I come out of fear or pain or hurt or cynicism or sarcasm. Because when I am smart because I'm cynical, I'm smart because I think it's the way to cope with the world. That makes me stand on the one side and the world is on the other. But the kind of wisdom that arises from not being apart, from not drawing apart, not being separated, not seeing myself on one side and the world on the other, but really coming from our true origin, from what our true nature is, and just, giving myself over to it, stopping to argue, not stopping to argue, not arguing, not resisting, not trying to oversmart anything or anyone, just surrendering to our true nature. When we do that, the wisdom that you see and you feel, and the wisdom that conducts your life or shows you where to go, what to do, what's asked of you now, that is totally different than the intellectual swords that come out of the world of fear, and the intellect using it to cope and to control and to eliminate and to win. You just showed me yesterday, the day before, you showed me, I never saw the Game of Thrones. And you showed me a few scenes. And it's exactly that. The minute you move inside of you from being a servant of our true nature and a messenger of that in every fiber of your body, and you become an I, desiring something that needs you to control others or to eliminate others, your destruction is just waiting on the path. It's there.
And that's exactly what this guy said about Forrest Gump. He didn't want anything, meaning he has no spine. He's an obedient idiot.
Yeah.
And Jenny wanted things.
Yeah.
So she's an individual.
Yeah. So that's that.
But it's true, Forrest didn't want anything. He just loved.
Yeah. I think that in next Friday or the one after that, I really want us to talk about security, being secure or being safe. What does it mean? Okay, what does it really mean? Because I think that there lies the difference, the understanding of security, of being safe, of being, guarded. Um, there lies the difference between what Jenny is trying to do and what she comes from separatedness. She doesn't allow herself to give herself over to
Because she was
intimacy,
very hurt. Yeah.
right? So but that is something that is, we have the power, and it's not, we have the power to have a really difficult life and be a totally loving person, that we are made for it. Our natural, we're naturals. This is what we are, and it is possible. For example, if she would have believed him, she could see that. But she was believing herself. When he says, but you must know that I know what love is, even if I'm stupid or even if I'm whatever he called himself, that is, what would happen if we believe?
She believed him.
To a limit.
She got pregnant from him. Then she went and had a child with him, but she didn't want to live with him. She accepted herself also as someone who has limits with how much she can give.
Yeah, but I think that whenever we just do that, which is really important, to accept ourselves as we are and know that there is something that I'm not managing to do or I cannot do now, that's part of it. But if it doesn't go immediately to its other part, that says, love is what I am, and I want to give myself over to that, not because it's a desire of me, but because that's who I am.
Yeah.
And while I resist, I will suffer.
Yeah.
That allows the full motion of really being alive.
Yeah. And in my eyes, this is what she did, actually. In her way, she took the love. She was the love. Yeah. And then also she came back. Okay. We'll watch the film.
To be continued.
Yeah, exactly. Forrest Gump 2, in the making. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend and see you next week, maybe about security.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.